ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। श्री सद्गुरुभ्यो नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः। गुरुर् साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। सर्वमंगलमांगल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थसाधिके शरण्ये त्र्यंबके देवी नारायणी नमोस्तुते। ओम नमो नारायणाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमः शिवाय। श्री हनुमान जी महाराज की जय। Welcome to Nitya Satsang. Today is the 25th of July 2025. I want to offer my prostrations to all the great sages and to Bhagavan residing in the heart of every single being. We are continuing to examine Prem-Lakshana Bhakti. This is the ultimate destination of a sadhak, of a mumukshu, of a bhakta to reach such a fantastic state of evolution that is called Prema Bhakti or Prem-Lakshana Bhakti. So to continue from yesterday, we are examining, the connection between the Jivatma, Bhagavan, that is Paramatma, and the entire creative process, how that links back into the abode of God, Bhagavat Dham. Bhagavan ke dham mein jana hai. Bhagavan ka dham satya hai. This material world that we are seeing, it is also real. It is not unreal. It is there. Definitely it is there. It is it is the inferior energy of Bhagavan Sri Krishna. It is the extraordinary manifestation of Prakriti, and we are experiencing within it. Now, couple of things definitely to keep in mind. We are living in this world, in the practical life as we are. What do we want? We want the best quality experiences in the sansar that are going to actually help us to reach Paramatma. Now see this together. For example, if someone says, I want to have a good car. Okay, why? So that you can live without any obstacle. Yes, very good. Well, why? So that it can be very comfortable, it can be enjoyable. Well, why? So that there's enough comfort, enough enjoyment, etc. in such a way that the connection with Paramatma is intensified. I hope that makes sense. So this is where the material level experiences become connected, they become supportive, and they support 100% the path towards Paramatma, towards Bhakti. So if you have a nice home, बहुत सुंदर बात है, उसमें मंदिर बनाना, do pujan, archan, everything nicely, invite some friends, do some satsang and all that. That is the right use of the nice home. Yeah, other things are also going on there. When we connect our sansaric life, our material life, as a doorway, as a bridge to Paramatma, as a support to realize that Paramatma, then everything fits in properly. Then there's no more conflict between the material and the spiritual. The material and the spiritual are beautifully bridged together. Right? So who we are, the Tatastha Shakti, the Bahiranga Shakti, and the Antaranga Shakti, they all come together within us. They come together so that as each day progresses, the quality of the experience is better and better throughout our life. For example, take family life. What do we want in family life? We want everyone to be healthy. Look at the points, right? These are basic, simple points to understand. We know this. Everyone should be healthy. Everyone should be united. Very difficult these days, but it's possible. Unity in the family. Very important, right? Healthy, should be united, well educated, right? Supporting one another. And the most important ingredient, come together in love and do satsang together. A family that eats together, a family that plays together, a family that prays together is a family that stays together. See the ingredient of satsanga, of coming together. And this is the beauty of the Sanatana Dharma. We have so many different utsav and rituals that are done throughout the whole year as a family. That the family comes together in love. Prem kabhi chhodna nahi. Always when family comes together, thoda pujan karna ghar mein. राधा कृष्ण का पूजन करना, शिव जी का पूजन करना. Everybody come together, even if it's just 2 minutes. Sometimes people say, oh, I don't want to do this. Okay, do whatever you're going to do. Fine. But everybody come together, the elder person in the house, whoever is the head, the grandparents, parents, they should say that everybody come together. We're going to make a small diya, put some kumkum on everybody's forehead, or vibhuti if you want, and Om Ganganapate Namah, do some mantra, do some small bhajan, do some small pujan. Very easy to do. The moment everybody comes together in bhakti, in the family, there's a new energy there. वो भगवान का अस्तित्व होता ही है वहाँ. And that brings tremendous amount of unity in the family. People have forgotten these things these days, so it's not, don't forget. Do it. Even if it's just a few minutes, it's perfectly alright. It doesn't have to be some big puja or long ritual. It doesn't have to be. My simple recommendation, is literally Om Shri Ganeshaya Namah, take a mala, and literally everybody chant one round, Om Namah Shivaya. Just repeat it, We do it all the time when we do our satsang. Om Namah Shivaya, then everybody repeats Om Namah Shivaya. How much time it will take? Less than 3 minutes, less than 4 minutes. It won't take even 5 minutes. That's enough. And then there's one more thing to do. All of the younger generation should touch the feet of the parents and grandparents. Unka ashirvad lena chahiye. This is another important sanskar. It is extremely important to always touch the feet of one's parents, one's grandparents, and one's elders. ये बहुत important बात है. That is the same as getting आशीर्वाद from Paramatma. Matru devo bhava, pitru devo bhava. ये बहुत महत्व की बात है. Even if our parents have passed away, we to remember them, उनको नमस्कार करना, उनका स्मरण करना. These kinds of activities are essential for love, for family unity, for bridging divisiveness. Conflicts will not happen then. We can listen to each other. We will understand each other better. We can move together better in family life. You see, so this is how the Prem-Lakshana Bhakti, of course it is towards God, but that God is not only in the Murti. वो मूर्ति तो है ही भगवान, और भगवान के धाम में तो है ही. But that same Paramatma is inside every parent, inside every person actually. But as far as living in the family life, this is an absolutely powerful and meaningful thing to do. That to have that respect, to bring God into the center. There's another way to think about this. For example, when a baby is born, right? When a baby is born in the family, newborn, everybody comes together and it's so wonderful, and how amazing it is, right? How wonderful it is when the newborn is in the home. Kitna anand isme aata hai. Those who are grandparents know about this. Parents and grandparents both. It's a tremendous thing. It's a lot, great joy. Oh, Bhagwan ki sab anand hai. So all that is needed in grahastha life, grahastha जीवन में बहुत simple मार्ग है. I know we talk every day about some really quite profound ideas, but I want to get them out there. That's okay. और बहुत सीधा मार्ग है गृहस्थ आश्रम में कि भगवान कृष्ण, सिंपल बात है, भगवान कृष्ण और भगवान शंकर और देवी को उनको फैमिली मेंबर बना देना. That's all. That's all that is needed. Nothing more is needed. Just as we have our close family members, we have parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles and so many people, भगवान को एक फैमिली मेंबर बना देना. Generally what we think, right? Okay, मंदिर है, भगवान is somewhere up there in the cloud somewhere, and, we have this distance with God, पूजन अर्चन करते, like that. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. That's okay. But we want to close the distance with Paramatma. Bhagwan ke saath intimacy. This is what we've been talking about. The intimacy is defined as into me you see. See how beautiful this is. That intimacy is prema. Into me you see. And Bhagwan to dekhte hi hai, wo to hai hi already. But when we get close to God, the distance with Paramatma closes, and that is the whole point of love. लव ऐसी शक्ति है, उसमें कोई डिस्टेंस नहीं रहता. कितनी, what more, how much more beauty can there be in life? For example, when we have a beautiful rose flower in our hand, you say, how fantastic is this rose? How beautiful is this rose? When we hold it, and then we see it from a distance, and then we hold, pluck, the rose is plucked, and it's held in our hands, and then it comes really close, and we smell it. Ah, what have we done? We have closed the distance, isn't it so? Then we can experience the rose in its beauty, in its fullness, when we hold the rose, when we touch the rose petals, when we smell the rose, rather than just seeing the rose from a distance. Even from a distance is beautiful, but we want to close the distance. We want to close the gap between us and God. That closing the gap is overcoming Maya. And Maya is not anybody's problem, actually. The problem is the gap. And when the gap closes, Maya transforms into Bhakti. How amazing. When we pluck the rose flower, nobody says that I'm plucking the rose so that I can get the thorns and touch and hold all the thorns and cause bleeding to my hands. Will that happen if you do that? Yes. The rose is actually on the stem of thorns. But whose vision is on the thorns and whose vision is on the rose? Aham, mamatva, rag, dvesh, klesh, ye sab kya hai? These are thorns. Iska transformation, but the rose is on the thorns. When we take a scissor and cut the rose from the stem, we make sure that the thorns are not cut, that we're not holding the thorns. We don't cut too deep. We cut the rose away from the thorns. Similarly, that act of cutting the rose away from the thorns, इसी को कहते हैं सत्संग, इसी को कहते हैं भगवान की भक्ति, इसी को कहते हैं भगवान की निष्ठा, इसी को कहते हैं भगवान की शरणागति, इसको कहते हैं भगवान में वृत्ति, इसको कहते हैं राधिका जी की कृपा. And that is how we can make a garland. Make a garland of 108 flowers. Beautiful garland of rose. White roses, pink roses, yellow roses. Are there any thorns in the garland? No. Not at all. When our life becomes rosy, meaning that the roses are what? They are love. And all of the negative stuff, the aham and mamatva, klesh, dvesh, किसी का अवगुण लेना, सब अंतर की जो सब वासना जो है, ये सब क्या है? These are thorns. उसका भी purpose है. We cannot say that the rose can develop without the stem. Because the thorns are there, because the stem is there, because the rose plant is there, that is why the rose is the ultimate fruit of that. It is like a fruit. It is the ultimate flowering of planting the rose seed. Everything else is a process. Even the thorns and the stem and everything, it has a purpose. It has a purpose to create the rose. And isn't it so? Why this sansar exists? Why rag, dvesh, klesh, aham, mamatva? इसका भी कुछ पर्पस है. सदगुरु गुणातीतानंद स्वामी जी कहते, मैं आपको बताता हूँ, ये जो स्वामिनी बातों, जो let's see the scripture. I don't know if you can see this on here or not. ये स्वामिनी बात, मैं आपको, I'm going to read something here for you. It's absolutely amazing. Give me just a second. I got to change my glasses here. I have 3 different pairs of glasses here. Just hold on one second. This is really, really something. In Gujarati it is written here. So just a moment. Give me just a moment. This is actually Gunatitanand Swamini Vato, first Prakaran, Vat number 12, meaning the 12th talk. Listen to this carefully. I'm going to read this. It's only one sentence. I'll translate it for you. And then we will stop after this. It's very interesting. He says here, Swami Narayan Hare, Swami Vat Karije, Dosh Rahe Che Ne Tali Jata Nathi, તે એક કેવળ દોષ જ છે કે તેમાં કંઈક ગુણ પણ છે? The question is this. It's a fantastic question that these deficiencies we have, these doshas, right? Kaam, krodh, lobh, moh, matsar, asha, trishna, all this crazy stuff that is going on. ये सब चलता है जीवन में, अंतर में चलता है, बाहर चलता है. All these things that remain within us from time to time, from time to time. Are they simply just deficiencies, or is there some good quality in that also? એમાં કઈ ગુણ પણ છે? How can that be? What an interesting question. What a fascinating question. That anger is there, krodh is there, lust is there, greed is there, these things are there. इसमें भी कुछ गुण है. And so these are all thorns, right? The thorns, remember the thorns and the rose. Keep this analogy in mind. Now look at what Gunatitanand Swami is saying. अद्भुत बात है. स्वामी जी कहते हैं इसमें. Hold on 1 second here. See, that's the question he asked. A prashna che. He asked this question to the devotees. Teno uttar je. Now what's the answer? Dosh pide. Tethi satsangma deen adin revai. First point. When the doshas are there, the one benefit of those doshas meaning faults, we remain humble in satsang. Our humility is there. That, oh my God. So that is a quality that develops because of the deficiency. I hope you see this point. एक बहुत interesting बात है. भगवान का जो मार्ग में क्या होता है, अहम छोड़ना पड़ता है. ठीक है? That is what this is about. When काम, क्रोध, लोभ, these things are afflicting us, गुणातीतानंद स्वामी कहते हैं कि दोष पीड़े meaning दोष पीड़ित, they're causing a lot of problems for us. Of course. It's like, you see the rose, but you're touching the thorns. It's, oh, this hurts. Of course it's going to hurt. That means stop touching those thorns. That's what that means. Touch the rose instead, right? So this is the point. Meaning what the analogy here is that when the internal deficiencies are causing pida in Gujarati means a lot of pain. इसमें से पेन ही होता है. क्रोध में से किसी को आनंद नहीं मिलता. काम, क्रोध, लोभ, मोह, मत्सर, मात्सर्य, इसमें से क्या मिलता है? पीड़ा मिलती है. और क्या मिलता है इसमें से? कुछ नहीं मिलता जीवन में. तो स्वामी कहते हैं इसमें वो के दोष पीड़े तेथी सत्संग मा दीन आधीन रहे. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल वन हैज टू हैव सत्संग. भगवान का जो सत्संग है उसमें हम जाते हैं, उसमें वो सत्संग में भक्त आ गया है. So in the satsang process, one remains humble. That humility that comes because of the doshas, that I have so much deficiency, oh Lord, please bless me. One becomes very humble. That is the good quality that comes out of the bad quality. It requires a lot of contemplation. अद्भुत बात. It's only one sentence only. क्या बात है ये? स्वामिनी बातों. Then that's what first point. Then the other point he says कि सत्संगनी गरज रहे. The second सत्संगनी गरज रहे means what? That one recognizes the need for continuous greater satsang, because those doshas are there. I need to develop further towards God. That is the benefit from those doshas. Think about that. Very interesting. बहुत मनन करना. And then he says, नहीं भगवान की स्तुति था. इसमें से क्या होता है? मेरे में काम है, क्रोध है, लोभ है, सत्संग मिल गया. भगवान की स्तुति होती है इसमें से. When we recognize deficiencies and they're causing pain, we want out of that, so we pray to God more. That is the benefit of those doshas. Very interesting. I don't think anywhere this is written like this. ભગવાનની સ્તુતિ થાય ને દોષનો કજિયો હોય તેથી જ્ઞાન થાતું જાય. અદ્ભુત બાત છે. દોષનો કજિયો. This is old village Gujarati. Literally 200 to 20 years back, village Gujarati. Think about that. How is that possible? You know that this written like this. Kajio. Kajio means what? Internal battle is going on. This internal battle is a problem. When we start the spiritual path, adhyatmic path, this internal battle will go on. Sometimes the vasanas will win over. Sometimes we want to do a lot of bhakti. Sometimes some anger comes, some jealousy comes. Sometimes something else comes. Then we say, no, when all of this is going on, because that is going on, the quality that opens from that, the benefit from that going on is Gnan. He says it very clearly. Doshno kajiyo hoy, teti Gnan thatu jai. From that we can develop the Gnana. You know, it's like the rose bud that begins to develop from that stem which has thorns. These are all thorns, all these doshas. But eventually that rose, you know how the rosebud begins to form? The rose is not formed yet, but the rosebud is just, have you seen that? You may have seen just the rosebud, tiny little rosebud is just beginning to come out. Amazing baat hai. Then he says, Te vina evi garaj rahe nahi, mate e gun chhe. It means that the great quality of aham shunya bhav, the great quality of more prarthana, the great quality of jnana opens up because of the presence of the deficiencies, and they are part of the material entanglement of the tatastha shakti that we have been talking about. The material entanglement, meaning the jivatma is stuck inside the material entanglement. The tatastha shakti and the bahiranga shakti, they are you know, the jivatma is stuck between matter and spirit. So Gunatitanand Swami is beautifully showing us here that even when these deficiencies are there, recognize that those deficiencies have a great importance in life. That from them we can have jnana. From them we can have more prarthana. Due to them we can be extraordinarily humble. And then eventually they will dissipate. And the beautiful rosebud will be created. And from that the rosebud will develop further. And it will blossom and open into an extraordinary fully blossomed rose. In the fully blossomed rose there is no thorns. What is the difference between the thorn and the rose petal? I'm asking you. Who knows? Don't answer right now. I'm just putting it as a rhetorical question. Isn't there a difference? हम जो rose petal को स्पर्श करते कैसा feel है इसका? When our heart becomes like a rose petal, becomes like rose petals, that is Prem-Lakshana Bhakti. When we are like those thorns, we are causing different problems for us and for others. Let's not be thorns, let's be rose petals. This is Swamini Vato. Then of course, you know, the teachings of Prem-Lakshana Bhakti. How beautiful is it? Has anybody ever said that these thorns are so beautiful? Have you ever heard anybody say that? Even when you go to buy a dozen roses from Acme or from Pathmark or from someplace, you know, they put them inside the water, right? With the stem. What do we go to say? We want to buy a dozen roses. Does anybody say we're going to buy 50 thorns? Try it sometime. Anybody say that? What if the store says for sale $12.99, 50 thorns? What is this? But when we buy those roses, those thorns are there. But when we want to make a mala, we have to cut the rose from the thorn. That cutting is jnana and vairagya and dharma and bhakti and mahima. Bhagwan ka mahima, Bhagwan ki jo Bhagwan mein vritti, sadgun, 64 qualities of saints. Sant ke itne sab alaukik gun hai. That is, what is that? When we cut the rose from the thorn, that is enlightenment. And from that, we make the beautiful garland. What is that? That is seva in the state of enlightenment. Seva mukti shagamyata. Let's stop here, otherwise we will never be able to stop. This could go on forever. Let's stop here for now. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakarishu Sarvadam Ganganapate Namaha Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Deva Maheshwara Guru Deva Param Brahma Tasme Shri Guruve Namaha Sarva Mangala Mangale Shive Sarvartha Sadike Sharanitrambike Devi Narayani Namostute Om Aim Rim Klim Chamundai Viche Om Shrim Rim Shrim Kamale Kamalale Prasida Prasida Om Shrim Rim Shrim Shri Mahalakshme Namaha Om Durge Durge Rakshini Tha Tha Swaha Shri Durga Arpanamastu Shri Mahalakshmi Maya ki Jai Shri Radha Krishna Arpanamastu Om Hrim Swaha Shri Sadgurubhyo Namaha.